How you guys doing? Welcome to Indoor Hydroponics. I'm John, your indoor hydroponic test dummy. Welcome inside my grow room. Guys, when it comes to hydroponic growing, there are a lot of methods. It's growing in soilless culture like perlite, vermiculite, coco coir, even peat moss. And then there's water cultures. What do we have? We've got deep water cultures, Craggy method, Dutch bucket, Beto. There's all kinds of different methods of doing it. And at the beginning of this particular year, I was, for whatever reason, I kind of lost a little bit of passion for the hydroponics, and I got a late start. Mostly because I was depressed. Summer was over, fall came quick, and then winter hit, and seasonal depression kicked in, and boom. I just didn't feel like I was into it. And then something happened where I says, I got to change things up and make things exciting. And that's where recirculating systems come in. Okay, guys? What's up, dog? Recirculating systems. I've done them before, but I haven't done them inside. I've done them outside, okay? And so recirculating systems have got me a little bit excited, okay? I built one for the beans, which is an easy one, and now I'm going to do a little bit of a different recirculating system in that it doesn't have a return. The actual pot itself is the return, or in this case, the tote will be the return, okay? What I have here is I started out some poblano peppers about 4 to 5 weeks ago. I've been mildly feeding them with an Epsom salt solution. However, they are a little bit yellow. 6 packs started out in rock wool here, guys, okay? But I think these will eventually take up a little bit of space, so I'm probably only going to do 3 in this particular instance here. What I have here is a 30-gallon tote. Okay, I filled up, I would say, let's call it 15 gallons. Okay, so let's set up a little basic recirculating system on this thing. It's going to run continuously for 16 hours a day during the grow cycle. Then it's going to be on the same lighting schedule. It's going to be on the lighting schedule, okay? So every time the lights kick on, this will kick on, and then there'll be a few hours off, okay? So let's set this up real quick, real basic. Get these things planted out. I also want to start a new nutrient that I've never worked with that I got samples on, so stay tuned and we'll check that out. Okay, this is going to be a recirculating system that's going to emit water right at the plant, right at the base of the plant, and go right back down the neck cup back into the reservoir. So, very, very simple. Pump, main line. We're going to poke 3 holes in this. It's closed off at the end, and we're going to do 3 emitters right into the main line to connect our feeders to, okay? And that is it, guys. That is it. I had a comment on my last video of setting up a recirculating pot for my beans over here, and one of the guys said use cooking oil and that'll slide your emitters in a lot easier. Of course, I'm not following his directions, so because I like to do things the hard way. Those are emitters. That's where the water comes out. It actually restricts the flow. Good question, Abe. It restricts the flow to a half a gallon per hour. So only a half a gallon water will go through this main line, go up through these into some smaller tubing, and it'll drip out about a half a gallon per hour. Wow. Isn't that neat? Mm-hmm. Cooking oil would have probably helped, you know. Alright, all 3 of them are hooked up to our main line. Now we want to hook up some 1/4-inch tubing, and that's what's going to water our plants. I got about 1.5 foot each emitters here. Shouldn't need much more than that. We just need it to come from the bottom of the tub here, or the reservoir if you will, and come up just high enough to hit the base of the plant. So now let's hook these up. Now I got another that. There we are.
What are those gonna do?
Well, you'll see, bub. It's gonna be pretty cool, actually. All right, main line, 3 feeder tubes. It's gonna be sweet. All right, now we hook this up, the main line, obviously, to our water pump. And we're done, son. Come on, baby. I might need some. Okay, suction cup to the bottom is my pump. Main line connected. 3 feeder lines, okay? Now we're going to take a repurposed lid that I've used for a multitude of different grows with 3 3-inch pots. That's what the peppers are going to grow in. Next to that is 3 1/4 inch feeder lines that I can now bring up out of the reservoir and up here to feed the plants. So let's feed these through. Alright, here we are, guys. They're all set up here. We've got our feeder lines coming out. All we gotta do is get to planting and mixing up some nutrients. Alright, now we're gonna take our 3-inch pots and slide them in here. They've been filled with perlite and rinsed off. Alright, we got our net cups in. Put a couple of stakes in, got our feeder lines coming up, got the pump plugged in, and we have success. Let's talk pH, nutrient, and what we're going to do for these little poblanos that are awful yellow. They have yet to be fed any type of fertilizer at this point, and they're about a month in. Like I say, they were fed Epsom salt, mildly diluted, but up to this point, nothing else, okay? The very first thing that I want to start off with before I add any type of nutrients is I want to know what my water is at, parts per million, and pH. And out of the tap, my pH is 7.5. Ballpark, ideal state, we want to be 5.5 to 6.5. That is where plants take up nutrient at their best, okay? Above or below that, and we start to have problems, okay, with nutrient uptake. Secondly, I am at 226 parts per million. That is the mineral base of my tap water. So, that gives me a ballpark of where I'm at and how I start, alright? Now, I have never used the Flora products here made by General Hydroponics. It's a 3-part series. There's a Grow, Micro, and Bloom. The Micro, obviously, is what we want to add first. That is our micronutrients plus calcium, okay? And that's really important, all right? Whenever we're dealing with non-single part hydroponic nutrients, we want to prevent something from happening that's called nutrient lockout. So we do not want to add these all at once or mix them together and then add that in here. We want to add the Flora Micro first. And basically for seedlings, all 3 of these is about 1/4 teaspoon per gallon of water, and I'm gonna say I've got 16 gallons of water in there to make this simple, okay? So very little nutrient is going to be added. With peppers, in my prior experience, peppers do not need a whole lot of nitrogen. What I'm going to do is follow the minimum recommended dose of Grow and Bloom, okay? And then after about a couple of cycles, maybe a month in, I'm just going to completely remove the Grow and just go with Flora Micro and Flora Bloom, okay? And I'm going to follow the transition schedule as well. So I'm only going to go about a month with the Grow, alright? So Micro, Grow, Bloom should be cool. Got these as samples for my hydroponic store. Really geeked to try them out. It's made by General Hydroponics. It's been around forever. So I think we're going to see some really good success here. The Grow is a 216. The micronutrients is a 501, so there is nitrogen in there. And then of course the bloom is a 054, okay? So with a micro and a bloom, I'm going to have plenty of nitrogen. But really what I want to get out of these peppers is good fruiting type of thing. In addition, I got a couple of other samples that I will be adding into this in diluted format. One is Rapid Start, and that's going to help generate some roots really fast. In addition, I'm going to go with the Floralicious Plus, and that has a little bit of nitrogen, some sea kelp in it, and a couple of other products. People usually add this in for their hydroponic marijuana, medical marijuana type of thing, but it also, from what I'm reading, will increase flavor in plants as well. So, and just in the matter of time that I've been talking, the pH has gone up to 7.7. So that's why you want to let it sit in the water for a little bit and stabilize out. So getting up there high. So let's add in our Flora Micro. So if my math is right, 16 gallons, quarter teaspoon per gallon. I'm going to need 4 teaspoons total of the Flora Micro. Let's get that in there. In addition, I am going to mix it up really well. And I'm also going to let it circulate a little bit. Alright, that's been mixed up good. Next up on the list, 4 teaspoons of the Flora Grow. Into the hopper! Next up, 4 teaspoons Flora Bloom. This is our part C, if you will. Alright, next up is this Rapid Start Rooting Enhancer. I want to use this probably for the first 2 feedings. After that, I think I'll be good. I'm going to use this at full strength because this is obviously made for rooting type of thing. And so it's 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons, so I have 3 teaspoons worth. Last on the list for nutrients is this Floralicious Plus. Alright, and so I'm going to use this diluted down. It's 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons. I'm only going to add in 1 teaspoon, okay? Now the cool thing about this is we don't have to add any CalMag. The calcium in this Flora series is within the Flora Micro, and the magnesium is in the Bloom, okay? And so sometimes those 2 nutrients, unless they're specially formulated, will compete against each other. So if you mix those 2 together in the concentrated form and then put it in the solution, they'll lock them out. That's why you want to dilute it down in your reservoir with the Micro first and then the Bloom second. So let's let this mix up a good while. Then we're going to come back and we're going to check our pH. We know what we started at. Let's see what these nutrients did to the water. Did it bring it up? Did it bring it down? We're also going to check the parts per million, see if we're in a good range there for seedlings, and make some adjustments to the pH if necessary. And then I'm actually going to plant some peppers. Okay guys, it's stabilized off. I've got a sample of the nutrient in here. It brought our nutrient down from like a 7.778 to a 7.0, so that's good. We're almost in the ballpark. That's sweet. Now with all those different nutrients that we added, it brought our ppm up to 431. That's not very much, but again, we're dealing with seedlings, so that's okay. And we want to gradually bring our parts per million up throughout the grow as the plant gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I top off with peppers. I don't run them any hotter than 800 parts per million. I don't think they need it. Contrary to popular belief, they're not heavy feeders. I've had a lot of successful grows with hydroponic peppers, whether it be cracky or in cocoa, and I never run them hotter than 800. So that's just my experience. Now, one of the folks in one of my prior videos asked, can you use lemon juice to bring down pH? And the answer is, well, yeah. I mean, pH down is awesome, but if If you guys want, you can use lemon juice if that makes you feel better. In fact, I will do that right now. I'll add a couple of capfuls to this, see what it does to the pH. I want to get it down to about a 6.5, between 6.0 and 6.5. So let me add a little bit of this, stir it up, and then we'll adjust as necessary. Okay, we're about stabilized off at about 5.8. I am good with that, okay? So really what's going to happen is as these plants start taking up nutrient, because it's an acidic based nutrient, it should bring the pH up as opposed to down, although we want to check it frequently. Now, I do understand why people do choose a chemical based acidic pH down to bring down large quantities of water to bring their pH down, because it does take a lot of substitute ingredients to bring it down a point or so. In fact, I had to use almost 3/4 to almost a cup probably of lemon juice to bring it from a 7.0 down to a 5.8, which, you know, whatever, lemon juice is cheap, but you do need a lot as compared to a typical pH down or a powdered formula type of thing. You usually need very little to bring down a lot. So yes, you can use this. I have used it before. It works fine, but you do need a lot of it. So we are in the ballpark here. We've got our nutrients done, we've got our pH stabilized, we know where we're at with our parts per million, we know where we want to be as the plant's growing up. Now all we need to do is actually pick out some of the best seedlings here and plant them and let it go. Alright guys, you got to watch basically this whole thing in real time, from the setup to the nutrient to the planting, and everything is up and running, functional. No, I'm not going to run an air pump in here. I think the circulating water is going to provide the oxygen that's necessary for this. I think this is going to be a fun little grow right here. All three of the poblanos are set out right now. I'll do a quick close-up on this, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks at the first nutrient change, and then we'll see the progress here. But I think what we'll see is some good growth. We'll see these things green up nice, and I'm looking forward to good things on this particular grow. So let's stop back in a couple of weeks and check these babies out. But first, here's a close-up. Hydroponic blog, day 1 of transplant. Okay guys, so I've done a couple of things since we last left off. It's been exactly 1 week from transplant, and what I ended up doing is putting in a couple of half-gallon per hour drip emitters. Just hooked them right up to the feed line, put them on a decent stake, and they have been dripping for 16 hours a day. When the lights go out, they stop dripping. So it's 16 on and 8 off. Another thing that I've done is added some rocks around the base of the net cup, because I was getting some algae buildup there, guys. So I ended up putting some rocks in, type of thing. Now let's take a peek at these plants, see how much progress we've made in just 1 week. And there we are, guys. I'm pretty happy with that. These perked up really nice, got a nice dark green color coming on. Looks good. Have not done any nutrient changes or anything like that. I'll probably let them go another week or two before we do a nutrient change. So 1 week from transplant, they look like this, and I'm really happy. Good, healthy seedlings. So these poblano peppers are off to a super start here, and just for comparison's sake, let me pull out one of the seedlings that I have yet to transplant, just to see the difference between 1 week in a system with hydroponic nutrient versus one that's just been sitting in rock wool for, I don't know, an extra week. Alright guys, so basically that is the difference between one that has gone an extra week without planting versus one that's in a hydroponic setup. Pretty stark difference. Leaves are about twice as big. Significant growth, way more greenery there in terms of leaves. So really enjoying this grow, really enjoying the drip emitter method. type of grow on this. Come back in about a month or so. I'll do a update video on these poblano peppers, but so far so good. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.